Good morning, students. And this is Sonu Sharma, and today in this chapter, the fun they had is for class 9. And at first, we would like to get a short description of the chapter. Actually, this chapter, the fun they had, is a sci-fi chapter. Do you know sci-fi? Sci-fi has been made from two words, science and fiction. You use imagination, in science, and you try to build upon a story. So this is science fiction, and in English we call it genre. Genre. It is somewhat difficult to pronounce, but it is called genre. So when you come in class 9 or when you come in class 10, when you are reading a story, every story has got a genre. It can be divided into a particular kind of a story, isn't it? So, this chapter has been written by Isaac Asimov, and Isaac Asimov, the name sounds something unfamiliar, but you will be surprised to know that he is one of the most prolific writers. Prolific, you know the meaning of prolific? Prolific means a person who has written many books, a person who has written many stories. So, he is one of the most prolific writers. Even on the list of even on Wikipedia also, if you search for him, so you'll find that in the list of prolific writers he has got a place, and he is one of the most famous writers, in of science fiction in English. So this chapter, the fun they had, it is you can say it's futuristic. The writer here imagines that after some centuries, what kind of life, what kind of advancement in the field of science and technology will have, and what will be its impact, on our studies. For example, in this chapter, we find that the school, it has been reimagined. It has been said that in future, 100 years later, you will not find schools as they are today. Instead of human teachers, they will have mechanical teachers, and the school will not be located at some place away, it will be very close. So as it has been brought to my notice that some of you want that the difficult lines should be explained in Hindi. So today I'll do that. So Margie even wrote about it that night in her diary. So now look, this character Margie, she is a girl, and on the page headed 17 May to 2157. So now look, 2157 is a futuristic date. It is the story has been set in future. Every story has got a kind of setting. In that setting, you may find the date, or you may find some indication of time that what is it about. So she wrote in her diary, today Tommy found a real book. Now Tommy is a boy, and it has not been discussed in the chapter what is the relation between Tommy and Tommy and Margie. So Tommy found a real book. Now what does a real book stands for? Real book stands for the kind of books which are made of paper and ink, which we read. The physical book, the book in its physical format. It was a very old book. Margie's grandfather once said that when he was a little boy, his grandfather told him that there was a time when all stories were printed on paper. Now look the imagination. You look at the imagination point of view. Margie's grandfather's grandfather, Margie's grandfather. So he says that Margie's grandfather says that when he was a small kid, when he was a small boy, a young boy. So at that time, all the books were printed on paper. So it has been imagined, it is being predicted that in 2157 we will live in an age where there will be no physical books, where will be no books made of paper. Instead, they will have books in the digital format. They turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly, and it was awfully funny to read words that stood still instead of moving the way they were supposed to on a screen. So, as I have sent you the PDF format of this chapter, what happens in the PDF format with the help of your thumb, with the help of your fingers, or with the help of some pointer, you are able to curse it down and up. But that is not the case with a book of paper. You just can't do that. So what happens that they find it means Tommy he finds it something strange, he finds it something peculiar. So look, this is a case when there is a generation gap. For example, today if we find something 200 years old or 300 years old, we get fascinated. We are surprised at it. Oh, at that time people used to live such a life. So we fall into visualization. Oh, that was possible at that time. So this is the general reaction of a child towards something old, towards something ancient, which is 200 years old or even 100 years old. So this is nothing but Tommy expresses, but this is nothing but what she expresses fascination, and he shares it too. They turned the pages which were yellow and crinkly. So this book, we know that old book, with the passage of time, the pages, they get folded up in lines, and at the same time their colors change. It was awfully funny it has been described that in the printed books we find that the words, they do not move as it move in a digital format. As in a digital book it moves, it does not move on paper. And then when they turn back to the page before, it had the same words on it that it had when they read it the first time. So we all know about this, that what is the basic difference between a book in a printed form and a book in a digital format. The book in the printed form, you find the words there static. When you turn it again and again, you will find the thing there. But what happens in the digital format, that you have to if the words move, the pages move, with the gesture of your fingers it moves. Z, said Tommy, what a waste. Now Z. Z is actually, it's in American English. People use this term to express their surprise or express their wonder at something. So Tommy says, gee, what a waste. When you are through with the book, you just throw it away, I guess. Our television screen must have had 1,000,000 books on it, and it's good for plenty more. I wouldn't throw it away. So Tommy expresses, he expresses surprise, at the same time he expresses disgust. Disgust at what? So he expresses his disgust that look, ये तो क्या है, पहले के समय में लोग बुक पढ़ लेते थे, अब पढ़ने के बाद उसको वो तो वेस्ट हो गया, पूरा वो तो रबिश हो गया, वो पूरा कचरा हो गया। ठीक है, ये आप एक बुक को पढ़ लिए और पढ़ने के बाद जो है सो वो आपने बस उसको एक अलग साइड में रख दिया। तो इनके हिसाब से प्रिंटेड बुक्स को पढ़ने के बाद एक उनको प्रॉपर प्लेस देना, वो इसको वेस्ट मानते हैं। ठीक है, तो इनके हिसाब से अकॉर्डिंग टू टॉमी, ही सेज दैट मींस इट इज बेटर दैट वी हैव गॉट books in the it is better that we have got books in the digital format on our television screen. So now television screen, we know it is not possible. So the television screen is an indirect reference to monitor, or indirect reference. It can be indirect reference to computer also. It can be indirect reference to a monitor which has a inbuilt monitor on it. Indirect reference to a robot, to a robotic teacher or to a mechanical teacher which has a screen inbuilt on it. So isn't it? So he says that earlier people used to read printed books. After finishing those books used to turn rubbish. So earlier people were not so smart enough so that they could have books in the digital format. So he compares that, look, today we have got television screens, and on those television screens or computers we have got millions of books. Still there is much space, so we all know that today, because of advancement of science and technology, we have those conditions, we have those facilities. We now know today that in mainframe computers or in supercomputers there is ample amount of space. You can store petaflops of data on it. So this is just a comparison. Same with mine, Margie. Now Margie agrees with Tommy that she also agrees with Tommy that the same is the condition with me. I too have got a computer screen. I too have got something like a I too have got something like a computer, and in those computer we have got millions of books, and there is still space for millions of book more. So she was 11 and she hadn't seen many telebooks as Tommy had. He was 13. So she says that, look, I that is the same condition with me. I too have got a computer on which they have so many, on which I have so many telebooks. So now the age has been given. She is 11. Who is 11? Margie is 11 and Tommy, he is 13. She said, where did you find it? She asks. Margie asks Tommy, where did you find this real book, this physical book, this book made of paper? So he replies, in my house. He pointed without looking because he was busy reading in that day. So he was busy reading. Tommy was busy reading the book, And when she asks that, where did you find this physical book? So he points out, he doesn't look at her. Now this is not the proper way to reply to someone, but he does so. Without looking at her, he indicates that, look, in the attic. Now, do you know what is an attic? So you don't find attics in our house here. In Europe, it is very common, or in the hilly areas, it is very common that in a house you have an attic. So attic is something like, if you go to medicine shops, or if you go to shops which sell shoes and sandals, you will find that they have got ladders, and on those ladders, just below the roof, they go for fetching some items. So below the roof, you have an arrangement, where you put your things. That is called attic. So in the attic, he found what? In the attic, he found the telebook. So then she asks, what's it about? What? Every book has got a theme, it has got a subject, it is written on a subject, it cannot be something like, just bombarding of ideas from here and there which have no coherence. Every book has got a cohesive topic, it has got a cohesive theme. So she asks what the book is about. So he replies, about school. So Margie was scornful. Scornful again means you detest something, you don't like something. She said, about school. What's there to write about school? I hate school. She says that, what is there special about school? Most of the students, they have, particularly when they are in the primary classes, they have an unlikely attitude towards school. They hate school. They feel that it is a place where their freedom is cut, until and unless when they move to higher classes and they realize the importance of the written word. They realize the importance of education, what education will do to them. तो ये मार्जी का जो है वो एटीट्यूड जो है वो फैमिलियर है, क्योंकि प्राइमरी क्लासेस में अब अक्सर ऐसा होता है कि बच्चे स्कूल को लाइक नहीं करते, उनको लगता है कि घर में जितना फ्रीडम है उतना हमको स्कूल में फ्रीडम नहीं है। लेकिन बड़े जब वो होते हैं, मैच्योरिटी का लेवल उनमें बढ़ता है, तब उनको मालूम चलता है। तो हम एक 11 वर्ष के बच्ची से क्या एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं स्कूल के बारे में? तो ये क्या, तो स्कॉर्नफुल है स्कूल के बारे में। स्कॉर्नफुल मीन्स वो बहुत कटाक्ष वाले कमेंट्स करती है कि स्कूल के बारे में ऐसा क्या है कि लिखा जाए किसी बुक में। तो वो ये कहती है, और वो एकदम वो उसको क्लियर कर देती है कि मैं स्कूल को हेट करती हूँ। ठीक है, तो आज के लिए हम लोग यहीं पे we finish this, and maybe tomorrow I'll be able to do a little bit more, isn't it, in the next video. So thank you I hope you'll enjoy it, and if there are any problems or if there are any doubts, you can share it with me from 3 to 5 in the evening. I'll be available then. Thank you.